Did head coach Kevin O'Connell make a massive mistake before the start of the regular season? We're going to talk about it on today's edition of Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Seatman, and I appreciate you guys for tuning in and taking time out of your day to watch today's show. But what is the mistake? I think the mistake right now is not playing J.J. McCarthy and the starters during the preseason. Now, I've seen a lot of Vikings fans talking about this on social media, down below in the comment section, and I just want to give you guys my thoughts and why I do believe that it is a mistake for the Vikings and Kevin O'Connell to not play J.J. McCarthy and the starters more this past preseason. But I'll give you guys my full thoughts here, but let's have you guys chime in here quickly. What say you? Should KOC play the starters in the preseason? You guys let me know your thoughts. Give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no. You guys let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. All right, so clearly there have been some negatives from the starters and specifically J.J. McCarthy not playing in the preseason for the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I will say, Kevin O'Connell, he comes from the Sean McVay tree, and Sean McVay notoriously will not play even second stringers in the preseason. So that's where KOC gets this from. But Sean McVay, they have a veteran quarterback, they have Matthew Stafford. The Vikings weren't in that position. They had a guy in J.J. McCarthy who at the time did not play any road snaps in the NFL. And you had your first game on the road because both preseason games that he played in were both at home. He has not even, taken a snap wearing the white jerseys before week one. So the issues with JJ early on, I think is because of lack of experience. And, JJ McCarthy is one of those guys, 22 years old, super traitsy prospect, but we knew he needed the reps. We knew he needed the experience. And it almost felt like KOC, not like thinking, I'm smarter than everybody else, but it was almost like, we'll be all right. We don't need preseason. Almost felt like we're too good for preseason because we even saw Caleb Williams got a full first half. And he was, second year guy, but he had a new offense he needed to learn. We saw a bunch of these young quarterbacks play in the preseason and, also at the end of the day, Andy Reid is still playing Patrick Mahomes. If they're still playing their guys in the preseason, I think you should just take a page out of their playbook. A team who has been to 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls. So didn't really make too much sense there. And then also, I just think JJ should have gotten at least a full half. Maybe it would have been just week one. You play JJ the full first half week one, even if it's not going well, keep him out there. But really on that first drive, the offense didn't really show us anything back in the preseason. They were able to get a field goal, but there were some miscues. It wasn't really going, too smooth of an operation. So I don't know why he decided that was all he needed to see. And what was the point of playing Sam Howell and Brett Rippon? You played those guys a majority of the preseason. What was the point? Now, obviously, it's easy to look back on and say, oh, why did they play those guys, considering both those quarterbacks are on different teams right now. But especially Sam Howell. Go get JJ more reps. Go get Brosmer more reps. We know who these guys are. And they can get the reps during practice. They can get the reps during training camp. I would have just leaned more into the young guys being JJ and Brosmer. But also, the second reason, the offensive line play has been horrible to start the year. A guy like Donovan Jackson, why wasn't he playing during the preseason? Now, I understand you can make the argument for Ryan Kelly, Will Fries, guys coming off major injuries, and obviously Christian Darrisaw. And then you could even chalk it up to, Brian O'Neill not playing. He's a veteran. But offensive line play is all about chemistry. And the Vikings had 3 new starters, realistically 4 with Christian Darrisaw if you want to count them. They should have played a lot more. You should have at least tested out, at least Donovan Jackson, Ryan Kelly, and Will Fries, even with them coming off major injuries, because we have seen they couldn't handle twist concepts early. The chemistry is really not there. So, again, you have 4 new offensive linemen. I don't understand why he just said, oh, we'll figure it out on the fly. We'll treat almost September like our preseason. And, third here, the injury bug. This team is completely beat up. And I don't know if they weren't ready to match the physicality of a regular season game, but clearly they weren't. This team has been beat up, hamstring injuries, concussions. They've just been getting demolished up front. And I'm not saying if they would have played during the preseason, it would have been the Vikings wouldn't been injured whatsoever. But I do wonder that. If the Vikings would have been playing more and they would have had these guys out there, would have gotten more reps, would they have been as injured as they are? Because I'm sure their bodies would have been more caught up to speed. They would have had more real in-game reps because, listen, you're not hitting that practice. Even though coaches love to talk about having a physical training camp, physical practices, it's tough to replicate what it's actually out there on Sundays, 53 versus 53, and that type of physicality. So I don't know. I think maybe KOC in the future may have to adjust his philosophy, and we'll dive into two more reasons here in a second. But quick little programming announcement for you guys. We will be live for the game this Sunday, so make sure you guys hit that notification bell. I think we have around 40% of our audience don't have those noties turned on. So if you guys could hit that notification bell, it's right next to the subscribe button. Just click that bell, and you guys will get notified anytime we go live, anytime we post a video. And it really does help us grow this channel here. So hit that noti bell today. And we'll dive into the rest of today's show here in a second. But before we do so, today's episode of Vikings Now is brought to you by PrizePicks. And you and I make decisions every day, but being right on PrizePicks can get you paid. Now, don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. And if you guys download the app today, plug in promo code CLNS. We'll get you guys $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks is super simple to play. All you got to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. And if you guys get your picks right, you could cash in. PrizePicks is also the best way to get action on sports in more than 40-plus states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. It's also super user-friendly, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. They also offer Venmo, Apple Pay, and MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. Now, here's an example of a max discount they have for Week 3 of the football season, where Patrick Mahomes' 1 passing yard can get you guys 1 win on PrizePicks. So include that in all of your lineups for Week 3 of the football season and download the PrizePicks app today. Plug in promo code CLNS, get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. But shout out to PrizePicks for sponsoring today's show. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right, so another reason why not playing in the preseason, definitely affected this Vikings team this year. The slow offensive start. Now, I think a lot of people, when they're talking about the Vikings struggles, some people just like to chalk it up to one certain thing. Oh, it's all on the offensive line. It's all on J.J. McCarthy. It's all on Kevin O'Connell. In my opinion, it's pretty obvious. It's a combination of it all. Like, you don't put up these types of numbers because of one specific thing. You put up these types of numbers because, as a whole, the whole 11-man unit is struggling. Like the Minnesota Vikings team with Justin Jefferson, T.J. Hawkinson, and a bunch of weapons, they're averaging 16.5 points per game. That's not good enough. They are only putting up 226 yards per game. That's 31st in the National Football League. Yards per play, 4.8. That's 26th. Third down percentage, 30.4. High leverage situations. Normally those are just, rep based, where once you have more reps, you can execute better. Hasn't been the case. They're 29th in the league. And then giveaways per game offensively, 2.5. That is 30th in the league. So for all of these reasons, like, you obviously can't put the ball in the end zone. You're not moving the ball. The Vikings have not ran a lot of plays. They've ran less than 100 so far this season. Maybe if you would have played in the preseason more, just the flow offensively and just the rhythm would have been a lot better, especially you have a quarterback who hasn't started a regular season game and you only played him one drive. I don't understand that. Doesn't really make too much sense to me. And then also, the Vikings needed to start fast. Like, we talked about that this whole offseason. The first 5 games for the Vikings are extremely gettable. Like, on paper, I thought the Vikings were going to be 4-1, if not 5-0. But obviously, the NFL world can humble you very, very fast. And this was the easiest stretch of their schedule, first 5 games. So you needed to start fast. But you already dropped one home game against the Atlanta Falcons. Like, we're going to look back at that at the end of the year and be like, that's why, potentially we didn't make the playoffs or we didn't win the division, because you dropped that one versus Atlanta. But maybe if you played during the preseason, you would have been more ready to go, because that offense looked like a JV offense. It looked like if you went down to your local high school, that's the product the Vikings were putting out there on display. But then you got the Bengals at home. That's a big-time spot. Steelers, Browns, like, all 5 of these games are very winnable. But then the 5 after the bye, it's tough. Like, we would have hoped the Vikings would have been peaking by week 7, but they're probably not going to hit their peak if, they get there this season until, like, weeks 9, 10, 11. Because these 5 games after the bye are brutal. The Eagles, short week against the Chargers on the road. Then you're playing the Detroit Lions on the road. Then you're back home against the Ravens. And you got the Bears, another divisional matchup. Like, I just wish the Vikings would have put more emphasis on the first 5 weeks of the season instead of treating the first couple of weeks like preseason. Should have been more aggressive there. So I disagree with KOC. I wonder if also Somebody should probably ask him this. Looking back on how slow they have started offensively, do you regret not playing the guys more? If there's any beat reporters watching this show, please ask him that at his next press conference. I would love to know his thoughts. But if you guys made it to the end of today's show, we appreciate you guys for watching. Just hit me with a skull down below in the comment section. And also hit that subscribe button on your way out. See you guys next time. Let's go Vikes.